country here, and our local guys that can't get jobs.
Foreigners are bringing drugs and weapons to our poor communities. We don't want them here. We are not xenophobes. We just don't want them here.
Good Lord. If Trump sees that woman, he's going to fall in love. He's going to be like, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my new head of ICE, Goo-Goo, Lady Goo-Goo, everybody. Lady Goo-Goo. Lady Goo-Goo. Oh, and speaking of Trump, South Africa also has a popular anti-establishment politician in this election. His name is Julius Malema. And if you think Trump is bad, wait until you see how Julius treats the press.
These crooks who are calling themselves journalists.
You see, the problem here at home is that we are not that advanced with our journalists.
Depends on the.
How do you reassure the foreign investors?
No, you must give me a chance to speak unless you want to have this interview with yourself.
You are a small boy, you can't do anything.
I didn't come here to be...
Come out, go out. Bastard!
Insane.
Oh man, that is the best ending to an interview I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, forget no comments. I'm gonna go with that from now on. Trevor, why did you wear a t-shirt to the Met Gala? Bastard! Come on! Bastard! You bastard! And if you're one of those people thinking right now, you know what, Trevor, this doesn't seem too extreme. He just hates the press. Well, you might want to buckle up for this one.
Policeman that enjoys shooting at black people. You want to shoot? Are you thirsty to shoot? Go to Parliament. That Parliament is full of thugs and criminals. Go and shoot them randomly. Don't select.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
God damn! Coming in and wreaking havoc all over their country. And over the weekend, it happened again, when President Trump landed in Tokyo to meet with Japan's Prime Minister. Now, President Trump wasn't just in Japan to check out their impressive tentacle porn. No, he was also there for a 4-day state visit about trade, North Korea, and military cooperation. And because of that, the Japanese bent over backwards to make Trump feel at home.
Prime Minister Abe has used this state visit to continue his charm offensive with President Trump. It seems to be working. The president delayed tariffs he planned to impose on Japan and seems optimistic the two sides can work out a trade agreement. The two leaders also played a round of golf, complete with a selfie, followed by a lunch of double cheeseburgers.
We have the best relationship that we've ever had with Japan, and we're going to keep it that way.
Yes, of course. Golf and cheeseburgers. The classic Japanese cultural experience. You know what? It almost sounds like Trump's mom sent a note to the Japanese telling them exactly what he needs for a sleepover, you know? Because they had it all prepared. It was like, thanks for letting my Donnie stay over. Remember, he only eats cheeseburgers, and he's allergic to peanuts and tax returns. And sometimes he wakes up in the middle of the night to tweet. Just ignore it and he'll go back to bed, okay? Have fun, Donnie. By the way, that whole helicopter parenting thing is very American. It's something that I discovered out here. It's like super American. Like that shit doesn't happen in Africa when parents send their kids to another house. In Africa, it's just like, if he doesn't eat his dinner, beat him, eh? Actually, just beat him anyway. I forgot to do it earlier. So Japan was actually successful in getting President Trump to delay his tariffs, right? And they agreed on new terms. But when it came to presenting a unified front against North Korea, it looks like a double cheeseburger just wasn't enough.
President Trump says North Korea's recent missile tests are not an issue for him. The president disagreed with Japan's prime minister at a news conference in Tokyo overnight.
The president dismissed North Korea's test earlier this month of short-range missiles, some of which could be capable of hitting Japan.
It doesn't matter. All I know is that there have been no nuclear tests. There have been no ballistic missiles going out.
He directly contradicted his own national security advisor, John Bolton, and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who say Kim Jong-un's tests violate United Nations Security Council resolutions.
I view it differently. I view it as a man, perhaps he wants to get attention, and perhaps not. Who knows?
And perhaps not. Who knows? I feel so bad for Japan. President Trump basically just said, because North Korea's missiles can't reach the US, that's Japan's problem, not his. Yeah. Can you imagine the poor translator who had to pass the message along? He was probably like, President Trump says he does not give a shit. Let's begin in not-so-great Britain. Today, it was reported that Prime Minister Theresa May is planning to resign over her failure to negotiate a Brexit deal. And since the chaos of Brexit could collapse Britain's economy, British people are preparing for the worst. They're stockpiling food, going to supermarkets and getting whatever they want and can, which means supermarkets are seeing some unlikely shoppers.
A British supermarket received a royal visit.
Queen Elizabeth stopped by a pop-up grocery store in England. The visit included a stop at the self-service checkout area. The 93-year-old monarch was intrigued with the technology. She asked staffers whether customers could cheat the system and leave without paying.
Oh man, that is so priceless. Even the Queen's first reaction to self-checkout is, wait, so I can just steal this shit? Is that what you're saying? Actually, I would love to see the Queen steal groceries, right? No, because only the Queen can steal for the country. Yeah, she could just be like, I claim these Cheetos for Britain. Yum, 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 yum. Please feed the Queen. And by the way, not to rub it in, but this really shows how far Britain has fallen, right? I mean, the Queen started her reign with trips to the corners of her empire, and now it's ending with trips to the grocery store. Yeah, by the time William is king, he's going to be making royal visits to the end of his driveway. Just everything the light touches is my kingdom, up to this mailbox. That's where it is. Moving on. I've got some bad news for men. Another trick in upholding the patriarchy has been exposed.
There's a shift in the debate over the right temperature for office thermostats. We know most women like it warmer, and most men want it colder. Right? So it turns out that there is science to back it up. A new study indicates men's brains work better when it's colder, and women do better when it's warm.
Yes, it turns out one of the reasons men and women fight about temperature in the office is because it affects our brains in different ways. Yeah, when it's hot, women's brains work better because they're not losing energy shivering. And then when it's cold, men's brains work better because our penis shuts down. Yeah, you just calm down. When it's hot, the penis is like, what we doing? And then it gets cold, the penis is like, I'm out. But I do understand, this is a tough situation, right? Because men need cold air, but then women need warm air. We all work in the same place, so we got to compromise. This is what I think. 1 week, the office temperature should be set to cold, and then women can wear a sweater. And then the next week, you just set the temperature super high, and men can wear a business Speedo. It'll work for everyone. Yeah. It's actually funny, because in South Africa, we have a similar issue, but it's slightly different, right? That's more around race. Like, black people always thought that the thermostat was too cold, and white people thought that black people were inferior. All right. Finally, you guys didn't see that coming, did you? And finally, here's a story out of Connecticut that makes me think we have finally reached peak millennial.
A man wanted in Connecticut for failure to appear in court reached an unusual deal with police. His name is Jose Sims. He told police he'd turn himself in only if his wanted poster gets 15,000 likes on the department's Facebook page.
Police say 29-year-old Jose Sims sent a private message to the Torrington Police Department offering to turn himself in if his wanted poster got 20,000 likes. Police negotiated him down to 15,000.
Seriously, people? Is this negotiations? We're going to be having like hostage situations where the cops are like, release the hostages. Be like, not until you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, we can like your page, but we can't subscribe. We just don't have the resources. For 3 years, Prime Minister Theresa May has been trying to make Brexit work. But now, the only thing Brexiting is her.
Tonight, high political drama in London. After months of intense pressure and speculation, British Prime Minister Theresa May finally giving up the job she'd always wanted, throwing in the towel.
I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
Aww. That was really sad. But yes, Theresa May has resigned as Prime Minister of Great Britain. And this really was a metaphor for Brexit, this whole moment, because she says she's leaving as Prime Minister and then goes back into the Prime Minister's house. Like, I thought you were leaving. Shouldn't you go the other way? It would have been funny, though, if that door was locked and she couldn't get back in. If she was just like, the country that I love. Hello? Hello? It's locked. Barry, open up. Barry, it's the Prime Minister. Actually, ma'am, you resigned. We changed the locks when you were crying. Finally getting some respect, you know? No, because they're just as good as doves, but they get none of the credit. Why? Because they're grey. Bird racism. That's what that is. And apparently this bird is expensive because when you let it go, it always comes back really fast. If that's the case, I've got millions of dollars on my balcony every morning. Yeah. I wake up every day and the pigeons are there. I'm like, get out of here, get out of here. Then every morning, the next day, they come back. Yeah. Now tomorrow, I'll be like, hey, pigeon, want to come in for some brunch? And the pigeons will be like, oh, looks like someone was watching the news. Who's the rats of the sky now? ISIS. Now that the dreadful terrorist organization has been almost completely defeated in Syria, I think we can all admit that that's a pretty cool flag. I mean, I'm not saying I would join just because of that, but I'd look at the brochure. I'm just saying now that they're gone, like, we can talk about this, right? Anyway, hundreds of ISIS members have been rounded up as prisoners of war. And now there's a new battle over who has to deal with them.
President Trump is calling on European nations to take in hundreds of ISIS fighters who've been captured in Syria and put them on trial. He's warning more than 800 prisoners could make their way to Europe as ISIS is ready to fall. And if they're not tried in Europe, the president claims the alternative would be to release them.
The alternative would be to release them? You know what's weird about Trump is that I think he's really good at identifying problems, but his solutions are genuinely the worst. Because he is right, the U.S. can't keep prisoners of war detained forever. But the solution can't be to just let them go. What do we do with them? All right, ISIS, you fly free now.
So work that. Ground warm. Disarm. Click off.
Illegal immigration
This amount of head gonna get you wet. You talking bangers. You took it to bed. Seek a money where it covers moonlight. Yeah, we're over here taking the spotlight. That's how my life gonna get satisfied. We testify. Metamorphosis. Butterfly.
Moving on.
Metamorphosis.
Discrimination. It can take many forms. It can be blatant, a restaurant refusing to serve you because of the color of your skin, or it can be subtle, a restaurant refusing to serve you because you forgot to put on pants. It was a busy day, I got distracted, okay? I'm sorry, Denny's.
Metamorphosis.
But now New York City is taking aim at a form of discrimination that is
Genesis.
New
York
City is taking a stand against hairstyle discrimination. Employers can no longer ban natural hair or ethnic hairstyles. Under groundbreaking new guidelines by the city's Human Rights Commission, they say the change was largely prompted by negative stereotypes. The hairstyles like afros, braids, or dreadlocks
still
are
swallow it
unprofessional.
while we devour.
Finally!
Metamorphosis. 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 Insect spiders and vultures. We hatch them, fight up with soldiers. It's conscious while you demote us. We're plucked in, take over cultures. We spread light, wildfire blazing. We chase them, eternally racing. Push come to shove, give them fluoride. Metamorphosis, engage the third eye.
Can we do this without dying?
Why you sling your hook? Go on, give it up. Let me sing the hook. Don't give up. Get the run around to brothers out of luck. They struggle now, selling for pence, not pounds. The checks bounce, I'm out. What they wanna spray? Tins in the bins? Okay, gagging with the mask, killing with the bass. That's a bigger task, force for you to master chef. Can you be the boss of your destiny and master it? Metamorphosis. 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 Taste it. So hungry in this mother, I can taste it. So hungry in this mother, I can be the one bullet in the gun. If some greedy mofos eat clips in your son. Metamorphosis. 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 Metamorphosis.
Yeah, you still around?
Metamorphosis.
Still here, mate.
Fuck me, man. So quiet.
Trying to get in a position.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna take the AR from the beginning. Incoming, Helen. Killed them all.
Nice.
I've never. That was the best spray control I've ever done on this game. I like that Gigi D'Agostino.
Hopes by the plenty, I don't get them no difference.
Another down.
I've been trying my best and I still can't shake it. I've been trying my hardest, I know. Been too good at changing. Been too good at changing. Been too good at changing.
Hold up, don't drop, you guys are gonna all die.
Clean, wash your mind till she went down and then I got it to roll. face on a polo flick. On some new shoes, all chrome, cause I got a flick. Know you love color, but you can't, I did that. I'm a ghetto star, we a jam. Pick my cars up bisexual, cause she's a whole pull up. Bring the daddy, baby, we a gon' do her. You the only woman that a nigga made a birth for. Know you like Valentine's, go out like a
Pick me up if you can.
Something I have yet to do, something only me to do.